And the messenger listened, his jaws tightened, and then he looked and he said, yes, he's getting the fame so that when he turns hypocrite on me, the whole world will see him. I'm telling you what he said. I died at the table. I mean, it was like he had taken a spoke and drove it right through my heart. I couldn't understand why he said it. I didn't know why he would say something like that to me. I was faithful to him in my own way, I thought. I was obedient to him in my own way, I thought. Why would he say that to me? It is because he knew tomorrow better than I knew yesterday. And I lived through yesterday and don't know what tomorrow is, but that man saw tomorrow. He was the most perfect guy that ever could come to a people, brother and sister. But we blew it, man, because we so hateful of our black selves that we didn't believe that God would dare take a black man and not only make him a messenger, but more than a messenger, deposit in the man himself and make a God out of him for you and me. Now listen, brother, I'm not playing here. That man, Elijah Muhammad, is the most profound individual you will ever meet. I don't give a doggone if you live to be 1,000,000. Go ahead. And those of us that walked with him in faithlessness, walked with him in doubt and in suspicion of his divinity, know it better now than we ever knew it while he was among us. We know it now. Look. And I say this with deep humility. Man, it pains me to open myself up and see a hypocrite laying inside. But look, how else can a man be healed unless he's opened up to the light and the thing that is in him that is not pleasing to God be removed? You understand? Now here's the messenger looking at me. And because Malcolm told me that the messenger was jealous, and members of the messenger's family had dropped it out that the messenger was jealous, I began to entertain the thought because I couldn't see the future. Now listen. I fought it off, but it was there. Hear this now, beloved. One day in New York, 70,000 people came out to hear the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is the largest gathering of black people, really, I think, in the history of our sojourn in America, to listen to a black man teach wisdom. And this ain't no play. I was so overjoyed, I went to the messenger. And I said to him, the apostle, there were 70,000 people. And back in, again, 3 months later, we did it again, and 40,000 came out on a Sunday afternoon to hear a lecture in Randall's Island. And you know, when I was so exultant, you may use the word cocky, you may use the word vain, self-centered, whatever you want to say. When God gives you success, you better learn how to handle it, or that thing will destroy you. And I didn't know how to handle what God was bringing to me. And I'm just being very frank and honest. And this is not negative, but it's so good to understand how merciful God is. He brings you up and show you the power that can come to you, but he knows you can't handle it. He'll drop you right back down and then bring you up in humility so that whatever he gives you, you'll be able to handle it well. Now look, beloved, when I was telling the messenger about this 70,000 and this 40,000, you know what he said to me? He got real sad and he said, you know, brother, the time is coming when you may go to the temple and there may not be one believer there but yourself. I couldn't believe it. I said, but we got 7,000 Muslims in New York. And here's 70,000 people out there reaching for his teachings. How could I go to the temple and there be no believer there? I didn't know what he knew. I didn't know at all, but he knew it all. Now, let me say this and conclude this whole thing. Brothers and sisters, when they announced that the messenger was dead and his son took the leadership, we all bowed to his son. I think it was a great show of respect for him that no war, no fighting broke out over who gonna be the leader, this, that, and the other. It was one of the most smooth transitions of any black organization in the history of America. But we, in submitting to him, we did not know what he had in his heart. Though we should have had some indication, since historically he had always been in rebellion against his father. But when we saw him standing with his father, we took it for granted he had overcome his difficulty with his daddy, and nothing was more pleasing to me than to see that son return to his father to help carry on his father's work. And even though the father, in truth now, had told the people to listen to Farrakhan, yes he did, I didn't feel qualified to carry on the work. And when Wallace stood up, I said, okay, I will back him. And in sincerity, I backed him. But look at the pause now. The man started teaching against the 40 years work of his father. And the more he taught against his father, some of us went crazy. I mean, some of the Muslims actually went into insane asylums. Some of them, yes, it's true. Some of the Muslims just couldn't handle it. Some Muslims walked out of that beautiful house on Stony Island, which rightfully belongs to you. See, it don't belong to hypocrites. It belongs to you. And one day it'll be again in your hands if it be the will of Allah. Look, brothers and sisters, the believer walked out. Some stayed there horrified and really petrified to hear a son say things like this against his own father, his own benefactor. Some of the Muslims believed it, took the flag down, took our uniforms off, sisters took off their robes. And to think now that this man who taught us for all these years, that he tricked us, man, it's too much to bear. So some of the brothers went back in the street, picked up their reefer, and was selling reefer. Some of us went and picked up drugs, harder drugs, sold them. Some of us became pimps. Some of us went back and became worse than we were before we met Elijah Muhammad. It's true. Some of the sisters went back to sweethearting with devils. Some of them had never gone with a devil, but decided I'll try it out. Some of the brothers had never laid with a white woman, decided I'll try it out. I mean, we went totally crazy, brother. There's just a handful that held on to the messenger, and they held on by a thread. Just a thread. But look at what happened. Just look. Let's look at the comma. We're talking about a comma now, and what the comma means. The comma means a pause. Now the pause is here. Wallace has done his work, and he failed to destroy his father's name. He failed to destroy his father's reputation. And 4 years ago, this very month, I was awakened from my hypocrisy, from my falling backward. And I stood up and said, I am by Allah's help, rebuild the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Not my work, not your work, his work. Now listen, that pause, I went all over the world during that pause, and everywhere I went, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching showed me that that man was correct. More correct than I ever believed he was. He was not only correct, but he was right and exact. Now, there's a difference between just being correct and being right and exact. That means not one jot or tittle of his message should be altered in any way, because it's perfect just like he gave it to us. All we need to do is grow in understanding. Now, listen. I hope you're taking this all right. But hey, it's immaterial. You know what I mean? If you don't take it well, it's not my fault. I'm doing the best I can to make it clear to you. And I think 90% of you that's in here already know from what you've seen of the nation that this man, Wallace, was not correct. That's all. You don't have to be no scholar. You know it now. And it's not from Farrakhan's mouth. It is from the man's own mouth and the man's own deed that he has destroyed himself. But look what he's done for us. Look at what he did for us. Let's look on the positive side of a negative experience. What did he do for me? Let me tell you what he did for me. The first thing he did, in manifesting my own doubts, in manifesting my own weakness, he helped me to see that I wasn't what I thought I was. Now that helped me, because that means now I got to get my own personal act together. Now some of us labor under false pretense. You look in the mirror and you say, I'm a sharp nigga. I'm pretty, I'm beautiful, I'm this. But it's a hell of a thing to be stripped down and see yourself just like you are. A jive nigga. You didn't hear me. You didn't hear me. I'm going to say it again. I said it's something to be stripped down. I ain't talking about some of you. Shucks. There ain't one in here. No, not one that is worth a damn in the sight of God. It is his mercy that we should never despair of. But the scripture says there is none righteous, no, not one. And there ain't one of us that can come to God and the messenger of God saying we were so holy and pure. Just says there is none righteous, no, not one. And there ain't one of us that can come to God and the messenger of God saying we were so holy and pure. And I'm number one, man. I had to get all the way down, boy, and say I know that I'm not worthy to stand in front of you. And listen to me, Kevin, man. I am not worthy. It ain't no 20 years of work that I did that justifies me being here. It is the mercy of Allah, his grace, that I have a second chance. You understand? For all practical purposes, I blew it. Okay? Now look, it's all right. It's gonna be all right. Well, man, why you open yourself up and talk like this about yourself after we was looking at you with such a high vision? I can't help that. I gotta tell you truth, not allow you to walk around here with a sick eye. I'm your brother. I'm not worthy of worship. I'm not worthy of honor. I'm just here to do a duty. You understand? Allah and his messenger are the ones that are worthy of the honor. worthy of the praise. And if there's any praise and honor to be given, you give it to God and you give it to Muhammad, and let us walk like brothers and do our work that is put upon us in the pause. You had enough time now to pause. You had enough time now to reflect. Now inhale. Take a deep breath of inspiration and look back over the 40 years of Elijah Muhammad's life and see now whether we can't build this nation. We can build this nation overnight. What you mean? You don't think we can build it overnight? Do you think the white man is an obstacle? Do you think the government of America is an obstacle? There ain't no obstacle at all. If you had faith, the grain of a mustard seed, you could say to the mountain called white man, be removed. And the whole pause is to wake you up with the faith that you did not have while Elijah Muhammad was present, so you could take his message now with the faith that he had in the God that he taught us of, and then march on and build the nation. A nation of righteous men and women. It's so easy to be done. It's just, do you have the faith that you can do it? Now I'm going to tie this up. No, it's all right. I got carried away in the spirit, but 40 years, then a comma, right? 40 years, then a comma, a pause. Now, the next, see I have these lines here? Where's that white chalk? Oh, yes.